In the North Pacific Ocean, just above the equator, a small island country was host to the 9th Festival of Pacific Arts. This is the newly independent Pacific Island nation of Palau, home to 20,000 people and best known for its distinct rock islands. Quite unique and different from previous festivals, distinguished guests were guided ashore on traditional canoes, heralding the beginning of the festival and welcoming delegates and guests from 27 Pacific Island countries and territories. The theme for the festival, the first to be held in Micronesia, was Oltobed, Malt. Nurture, regenerate, celebrate. Recognizing that it's the youth who will carry forward our culture and heritage, Palauan children greeted guests with Ali, welcome.
I join all Palauans in inviting you to enjoy Palau and our rock island treasures, to enjoy our respective cultures, and most of all, my fellow Pacific Islanders, enjoy the company and friendship of one another. May the Almighty God bless all of us of Mal Masulam, and let the 9th Festival of Pacific Arts begin, rain or shine.
There was a sense of excitement, of occasion. This 9th Festival of Pacific Arts was the biggest ever held. An estimated 4,000 people cheered and clapped as each delegation presented their gifts to the host country.
In 56, we sailing down a town.
The ocean has always been an important part of Pacific culture and way of life. Since time began, seafarers have traveled far and wide, trading and establishing ties with other islanders. There's a Palau proverb, "Agnayask aklisi el abakal, marmawodl abalas rabalu, elomaktaladr abasiul," which translates to, "The younger generation have the strength to steady the sail, while the elders have the wisdom to steady the voyage." A few months before the festival, and again for the festival, canoes from Yap sailed to Palau, visiting old acquaintances, to exchange ideas and expertise with other canoe builders and navigators.
We still can sail around the globe without anything, just us, our knowledge, our brain, our hands. We still can sail.
In preparation for the festival, the different states of Palau constructed a variety of traditional canoes, ensuring that the knowledge and history of the past is carried forward, never to be forgotten.
The ninth Festival of Pacific Arts was an opportunity for Palau to regenerate some of its traditional and cultural heritage. We found out that there were only a few people left in Palau who still had the knowledge in building canoes. There were maybe about 4 or 5 people that still, and they're very old right now. So what we did is we asked all the states, the traditional leaders and the governors from each state, to start the project in bringing in a lot of young people and to teach them and work side by side with them. But today we were able to bring back that art in teaching our younger generation to build, construct, and even navigate by using canoes.
Canoe building and navigation are among the oldest skills possessed by Pacific Islanders, who pass on the knowledge to their children, who in turn pass it on to their children, and it continues to be passed on.
The Marshall Islands is a very small country and is surrounded by big ocean, so this canoe is one of the most important tools that, it's a tool that has been given to us, we've been blessed with from our ancestors. We have these tools that they are over 100 years old. When these tools came to the Marshalls, they were brought in by the whalers before the Germans and the Japanese, before the war, before both wars. So they were given to our elders when they saw the the people building canoes, the whalers give them these tools. And then it's one of these like heirlooms that pass down the generation.
In our islands, canoe building is still part of daily life. On our outer islands, we're building fishing canoes every year. They're building fishing canoes. So that's important because it's a way of life. It's a necessity for sustain of life on some of our islands.
Pacific Island cultures are dynamic and continue to evolve to keep up with the ever-changing world. The festival provides a forum for the regeneration of cultural expressions. Film has always been part of the festival and continues to gain more exposure. Over the years, Pacific Island filmmakers have gained prominence in the international film scene.
Maintaining one's integrity, to me, is most important than anything else. And that's one of the reasons why the film is in the Rutuman language, though that's not a very good commercial proposition. Using unknown actors, people who never acted before, telling a story that's very culturally specific. But for me, those are the things that are most meaningful to me. They make me the kind of person I am. And in fact, one of the lines in the movie when the father says to her, "Do you love me?" the protagonist, and she says, "Of course I love you." And he says, "Then never forget who you are or where you've come from." And to me, that's what this movie is about, remembering, where I've come from.
Pacific fashions reflect current attitudes of identity, cultural influences, and individuality. The fashion show was a fusion of Pacific design and decoration. Designers used original array of natural fibers and materials, crusting motifs and fabrics that made the show reflective of the Pacific.
The pieces that was showcased on the fashion night involved, from the beginning we introduced the tapa pieces, which was the traditional pieces that's used back at home. With like for example our natural resources, that's the Tupperware, and it's even covered with coconut string, mangi, and accessorized with local shells.
Palau Motunya love berkau masai langnya merayun sen Mo amin monge Mo amin mei Mo ngibel eight te mo singer Mei megida mo tahiting Nguala balam Sai langnya merayun Legida masubelo amin O bakse mengibel
I noticed people watching each other very carefully and intently to see, and the cross-cultural sharing has been wonderful. I've gotten some pictures of, particularly a set of 4 women that all of them were watching very carefully this one other woman who was weaving. And I think the women were all from different countries. They all had their costumes on, and so it's a wonderful picture, but that's a good representation of women now. It's been very exciting.
In addition to the country booths, a pavilion was constructed in the festival village with the sole purpose of exchanging cultural and traditional expertise through hands-on demonstrations with artists who came together to work and share their knowledge and creativity.
We stay in our own individual countries, and it's a bit different to get together. And I think in this kind of festivities, it's one way of reconnect each other. I have a feeling that way back we are one people, and because we went separate ways and live separately and isolate from each other, so that's why we become a little bit different from each other, but otherwise we are one people.
move in the breeze under the thatch of the small fale, braiding sinnets, weaving stories between the leaves of the pandanus. The fat brown woman sweat in the sun, lean on a coconut palm, swaying in the coconut sun, in colorful lava too small for her waist. The fat brown woman in the sea is a sight to see, diving for blue fish, red fish, an occasional eel. The fat brown woman walking home from the sea is a sight to see. Around the fat brown woman there is
Stories and storytelling revolves around the ability of the individual to capture the imagination of his listeners and draw them into his magical circle.
artists, writers. These are the people who need to be encouraged and need to be supported, because they're the ones who are the keepers of the history, you know, and Pacific cultures, Pacific governments need to support writers and artists and craftspeople, because they're the ones who record and write and preserve our history.
Pacific writers, whether writing in English or in their own vernacular, are greatly influenced and inspired by their own oral traditions.
The literary arts is just as important as the visual and the performing arts. Each group has a purpose, and the literary arts group's purpose is to in essence, have something tangible that can be promoted via the selling or the distribution of these materials.
For the first time in the history of the festival, traditional games were introduced.
And they have to pick a color, and they pick a hand. She picked black. Black will always go first in this game. And for the black person to go first, the first move of the game is they pull off one of the two middle white pieces. And that starts the game.
When we've asked a lot of the participating countries on the importance of the traditional games and skills, they've all agreed that we need to really encourage many other countries to really take strong part in participating in traditional games and skills, because a lot of the Pacific Islands in general the children are more focused now on video games and watching television rather than playing traditional games that is really about our social lifestyles that's attached to our environment.
Adding these games to the festival ensures that traditions are kept alive. Using natural resources, the social activities teach young children skills they can apply in real life.
It's like a leisure, you know, for us people, because we still live in a tribe. So sometimes when we don't go to the field, to the farm, to the farm, we just stay at home and we just play this game, just waiting for another occupation, you know, this game. This is really important because it's played by, you know, like a lot of persons, and then when you play a lot of persons, you share.
To celebrate Pacific architecture, countries constructed replicas of traditional houses.
Originally, the abai are made of different kinds of local woods. There are special woods for the footings, there are special woods for the wall, and also the woods for the roofing. Part of the roofing are all made from mangrove trees.
We're very proud of our heritage, and it's the unique things about our heritage and our culture that we want the other island, our brothers and sisters, to understand, and maybe then we find the connection of how we're all brothers and sisters.
Thank you very much for watching.
Food and feasting constitute an important part of Pacific cultures. The culinary arts program displayed foods from the different islands. As people demonstrated their specialities, the aromas from the cooking drifted through the air, drawing in spectators to sample the delicious food.
How is it?
Right.
These are all other issues that directly link to cultural well-being, environmental impacts. The symposiums have always been a significant part of the festival. It provides a forum for dialogue and communication, and the exchange of ideas and views relating to the promotion and preservation of cultures.
List every natural resource that we gathered, every fish, every seaweed, every fur. Being here at the symposium and sharing ideas with other countries and sharing experience is a real, very good opportunity for us to learn from each other. That countries can learn from our experiences and I can learn from theirs, to share new ideas on how we can work within our own systems at home and work collectively together as a people, and pool our resources together. So we're all in the same fight, we're all in the same battle to maintain our own native indigenous people's identities and to maintain our cultural practices.
The symposium today was really interesting for me because it focused on taking care of our environment, which we in Hawaii say malama'aina, and I do that from my approach to it is an educational one, because I'm a teacher and I try to teach students how to take care of the environment.
Today's symposium was helpful more for getting a more international perspective about intellectual property rights, copyrights, commercialization of our medicines. But overall, I think it was very good because we have pinpointed specific issues that we can take from here, and that's the first step, and we're happy about that.
Traditional healing continues to be an integral part of the lives of Pacific Islanders. For the first time ever, it was introduced into the festival program to nurture the knowledge of the healers.
I especially wanted to attend this healing art, especially where they deal with introduction of herbal medicine. So I think that's what we need to revive, is the richness of our forest with the herbal medicines.
Recognizing how the environment sustains our way of life, natural history became a significant component of the festival.
And they have, we're going to another place where you see taros, and they have breadfruit. There's a small breadfruit tree over there.
Oh, yeah.
And the pandanus, and there's some taro in there, and coconuts.
The festival is always a time of celebration. One of the places for this was the Jam House, which served as a place for musical exchange. Visits to the accommodations and villages nourished relationships by exchanging music, food, and cultural experiences.
Pecava Malt is our traditional drink, which is also a royal drink. In our custom, we usually get together to honor the presence of our chief, but also Pecava brings the people together in our villages to share the news of the day. So tonight, in a special way, we are preparing it because we have here our chief. So we are not only celebrating the festival, but we are also celebrating the presence of our chief among us tonight.
I think it represents the skills of the women of the Pacific, because most of the women in the Pacific weave as a way of life. Some of them earn their living by weaving. And in Palau, deciding to piece together a mat representing each country that's come to the festival, I think it's a really good idea, because then all the different countries bring their mat to be put together like this, therefore making one big Pacific mat, but representing all of our countries.
The concept of the peace board and peace mat was developed by the festival organizers to create a mural reflecting the varieties of carving and weaving techniques from around the Pacific. These murals will remain on permanent display at the new Palau National Museum.
Each carver, when I ask them about their design, usually it's about, most of them are like their gods. Most of these symbols, it symbolizes their ancestor gods, or like spiritual, a lot of spiritual things they do, and most of these designs.
It's very interesting, and I like it. It's my first time to work with different carvers, and it's a great experience.
Well, friends, what better motive there is than to come together to celebrate who we are, to exchange goodwill, to form friendships, and to know and appreciate one another, to nurture, to regenerate, to celebrate our Pacific way.
A very, very special Ali, and good evening to all of us here tonight. At this time, I'd like to take also a moment to recognize all the delegations sitting on the floor. For Sister Island, for Atbang State, we have New Caledonia. Sister Island, for Angkor State, we have Nauru. Sister Island, for Kayang State, we have Rapa Nui. Sister Island, for Angkor State, we have Pitcairn.
As the festival drew to a close, it achieved its aim to nurture, regenerate, and celebrate Pacific cultures.
We part not as enemies or merely friends, but as Christian brothers and sisters, by saying we will always be together in prayer until we meet again on my humble shores in American Samoa.
Maliving Rabebu la oceania Oh bella, bella oragi Baradela gargaru Ariselo megarau Raida Ala ala masisi Lotangara Seramot kalmo Rabe kalbulu Ato mga matarak langan Menao sange amablata Mesara na bela oceania Malaysia syugang regi Iwaring rarabekla Rowelang noragiru Yang lobat tagerde Along the road, Malidi, Rabebula, Oceania Robena, Bela, Abalua doki mata Jali tekle la bewori Oltang aklamata ti Iwas juga rabeluri Umega isera betelniu Rausenia Logi ujan Malta rakyat Palau ko sangeng mablagatan Lumesara the Bella Oceania Malaysia siyogang aragi Lugi waring arabit na
People are so friendly, the cultures are so fantastic. People too, man, they're so great.
It's a real pleasure being here. It's going to be very sad to leave at the end of the festival.
Thank you very, very, very much to the Palauan people for the generosity, for the organization, for the kindness. It's been wonderful.
Palau has done a tremendous job for the artists and the festival, and my hat's off to them because they did something that I'm sure they'll be proud of for many, many years to come.